Shane van Gisbergen just found a loophole in NASCAR's rulebook that's been sitting there for decades. And mate, he didn't even have to bend a fender to use it. NASCAR reviewed the data, they reviewed the radio, they reviewed every camera angle they had. And at the end of all that digging, they still couldn't touch him. Not a fine, not a points penalty, not even a stern word in a hallway. Once you understand exactly why, you'll look at every contentious wreck in this sport completely differently. Right, let's set the scene. This is a sport that's been policing itself the exact same way since the 70s. A world built on Southern tradition, unwritten rules, and blokes who've been getting caught out by their own big mouths for generations. You spin someone on purpose, then jump on the radio and gloat about it like an absolute muppet, and NASCAR's got you dead to rights. Case closed. And then you drop a road course ringer from New Zealand into the middle of all that history, and somehow he's the one who figures out the cheat code the old guard never even thought to look for. It's not really about talent anymore, is it? It's about knowing the system better than the system knows itself. And right now, nobody in that garage is playing that game better than SVG. Before we get under the bonnet on this one, quick thing, and I promise it's quick. We're closing in on 500 subscribers on this channel, and honestly mate, it would mean a lot to have you on board when we hit that number. If you're new here and enjoying this kind of deep dive breakdown, do us a solid, hit subscribe, drop a like on your way past, and if this one teaches you something you didn't already know, share it with someone who'd get a kick out of it too. Doesn't cost you a cent, helps this channel out massively. Right, back to the story, because this is where it gets good. So here's the kicker, and it's a big one. NASCAR's entire penalty system isn't really built around physical evidence, not the way you'd assume. It's built around admission. If you don't say it, out loud, on a recorded channel officials can pull up later. They genuinely cannot prove it, no matter how obvious it looks on the replay. Think of it like this. NASCAR's got the security cameras rolling from every corner. They've got black box telemetry off every lap. But if you never confess on that radio, there's no case file for them to open. This entire situation stemmed from the Chicagoland incident with Austin Hill, where Van Gisbergen put the number 33 hard into the wall on lap 48 of stage 1. Officials pulled every radio transmission, every available camera angle, all the SMT data, and after going through the lot of it, they ruled that nothing rose to the level of an actual penalty. Translation: for anyone not fluent in NASCAR speak, they can suspect intent all day long, but suspicion doesn't equal proof, and without solid proof, there's no penalty to hand out. And the proof they were so desperately chasing, it wasn't missing because it didn't exist out there. It was missing because Van Gisbergen simply never handed it to them. As Jamie McMurray put it live on the TNT Sports broadcast, breaking down the SMT data in real time for the whole audience watching at home, he called it undeniable that the move looked fully intentional. That's a genuine NASCAR veteran, live on air, in front of everyone, basically saying, we all know exactly what we just watched happen here. But here's the translation on that one too, because it matters. Knowing something happened and proving something happened are two completely different animals in this sport. And that exact gap is precisely what SVG managed to slip straight through. Around the garage, you'd reckon there's a few old heads shaking their fists right about now, muttering that guys have been getting caught out by their own careless radio chatter for 30 straight years, and this is the first time anyone's actually dodged that trap entirely. Even up in the broadcast booth, the irony wasn't lost on a single person watching that day. The most aggressive move of the entire race produced, by a mile, the quietest radio traffic anyone had heard all afternoon. Fair dinkum, you honestly couldn't script that if you tried. Now look, not everyone out there is clapping for him on this one. There's a genuinely sizable chunk of people, fans online, and reportedly a few drivers inside the garage too, who reckon silence flat out shouldn't count as a legitimate defense in the first place. If the data itself says it was intentional, shouldn't that alone be enough to act on? It's a fair question, mate, and it's clearly one that NASCAR themselves are still wrestling with behind closed doors. We'll circle back to that in just a minute, because it matters more than you'd probably think at first glance. But here's the thing, right? This wasn't just a one-race fluke, some lucky bit of timing that happened once and then quietly disappears forever. There's a genuine pattern building here, and NASCAR might already be watching very closely for it. We'll get to exactly why in just a second, so stick around. Now, most channels out there are just going to show you the wreck clip, slap up a caption, and move straight on to the next bit of content. That's not what we do here, and never has been. If you actually want the proper breakdown, the stuff NASCAR doesn't put anywhere near a press release, the stuff that genuinely explains why this decision went the way it did, that's the entire reason this channel exists in the first place. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done it, because the next part of this story is honestly where things get interesting. Right, remember what I said earlier about this not being a one-off situation? Here's exactly why that matters right now. If staying completely silent really is a repeatable strategy going forward, if you can simply not say the quiet part out loud, and NASCAR's hands are effectively tied behind their own back, that changes how every single driver in that garage could approach contact for the rest of this entire season, right through into the playoffs, when absolutely everything is on the line. And it's already showing clear signs of playing out exactly that way. NASCAR officials have made it publicly clear that they're now watching the relationship between Van Gisbergen and Hill extremely closely, and they're planning to sit both drivers down for a proper conversation before things boil over again at the next race weekend. So right now, you'd better believe every single crew chief in every single garage is probably telling their driver the exact same thing: shut up and drive. Literally, word for word. So where does this whole situation actually go from here? Let's talk it through, step by step. Scenario 1. NASCAR quietly tightens the language buried in the rulebook, bringing in some kind of proper intent-based evidence standard that doesn't rely purely on a driver's verbal admission anymore. Scenario 2. Other drivers start openly leaning into this exact, say absolutely nothing approach themselves, and it becomes the main talking point at the very next drivers' meeting, whether NASCAR's thrilled about that or not. Scenario 3. Nothing changes at all, and this quietly becomes the blueprint that gets replayed for years to come, every single time someone's got a score to settle out there on track. Now, has NASCAR officially confirmed any of this publicly? No, not even close. Nothing's locked in anywhere, nothing's official yet. But based purely on how this sanctioning body has reacted to loopholes just like this one in the past, don't be shocked if we hear a whole lot more about it before the playoffs actually kick off. Right, I genuinely want to know what you reckon. Type smart down in the comments if you think SVG outplayed the entire system fair and square, no complaints. Type loophole instead if you reckon NASCAR needs to shut this whole thing down before it becomes a full-blown habit across the entire garage. And honestly, drop a comment either way you land on this. I read every single one of them myself, and if this breakdown got you thinking a bit differently, do me a solid and share it along to a mate who's been arguing about this exact incident all week. And if you think this is the very last time we're talking about SVG, bending the rules without ever technically breaking a single one of them, wait until you hear what happens the next time these two blokes end up sharing a racetrack together. That's the line. We'll see you on the next one.